Hi, everyone. Okay, it's nice to see you today in our webinar. Let me show you what we have for you today. Okay. So today, let's talk about stress-free meetings in English and how to speak better and how to boost your confidence. I know it can be sometimes an issue, yeah, especially in cross-cultural communication when you need to feel confident, break the language barrier, and that's when English for AT comes for help. So a little bit about me. I'm one of the teachers at English for IT. I'm also a content creator, language content creator, if to be certain, and a travel enthusiast. I visited about 17 countries for now. And I'm also a soft skills trainer, which is, I think, pretty important and is gaining popularity right now because it's not only about the language, good language that you speak, good English, but it's also about, clear communication and avoiding misunderstandings. So let's go and dive right into um, some description of our company, what we actually do. English for IT is a unique company that not only helps our students to learn English, to use their English at work, um, but it also provides training for cross-cultural communication. Well, what is important here in cross-cultural communication is that when you meet people from other continents, from other cultures, you have to make sure that you have common ground and you're on the same page. So that is something that we can help with too. We also provide power skills training. Again, it's not a new direction, but I feel like it's again gaining popularity right now. What it is about, it's about your let's say presentation skills and how good you can give feedback, how good you can communicate, and how clear your communication is. So that is very important too. And companies, they really appreciate it when looking into someone's general performance. So yep, that is about us. Let's go on about what we are going to talk about today. Yep, please share some comments too, so that I can see you, so that I can get some questions from you and see, if you get it right. Let me know if you can see me and hear me well. Okay, I hope you do. I hope you can see me and hear me. Okay, let's go to our today's agenda. So the first point is what we are going to discuss is why sometimes people cannot speak fluently in the meetings and how we can fix it. What blockers can appear there in, either it's a language barrier, or if the language level is good, with, maybe there's some issues with confidence and many other things. Then another helpful thing here is top phrases that we can use when we start the meeting, when we want to share some important points, and in general some key phrases for clear communication. Another thing here is how to speak with minimal practice, how to speak better. It's not always about, how experienced you are in a particular, field, how much you speak English at work. Not always it is about that. So even with minimal practice, even if you don't have much of opportunity to speak English at work or to somebody else, you can still use some tools that we're going to give you today to maximize your performance, to improve your English a lot. And we also gonna share some tips to improve your confidence and how you feel in meetings, because that is very important too. It also affects, your English, the way you speak, and basically when you feel confident, when you feel good, it affects some sort of even your level, what you use in your speech. And of course, we'll answer your questions if they appear. Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. All right, so the first thing here, let's go through some common words that we often use in our meetings day to day. Let me know in the comments if you see any familiar words. We have scale here, milestone, go forward with, proceed, assess, set up, settle on, tackle. Any of those words you use daily, let me know. What's your favorite? What's your top of the list here? Mm-hmm. I see we have people from different countries here. Ukraine, Portugal, Turkey, Moldova. That is great. Okay, tackle. So scale, proceed. Somebody already uses all of them. Proceed again. Okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe proceed. Yeah. Okay. So let's look through some of them. Yeah, and see how clear are they. Go forward with. That is a good one. Okay. Yeah. So if all of them are familiar, that is really great if you use them all, in your daily meetings. Let's see what they mean if they are new. Yeah. To scale or scale as a noun, some word that we use in our daily meetings, and they can actually mean the ability of something to be enhanced and to be stable if we increase the volume of the app, for example. Okay, milestone here. What's milestone? What would be the best description? Mm-hmm. So yeah, milestone would be probably the best to describe as not an achievement. Well, an achievement in some sort, but an achievement, at a particular timeline, goal point. I love that. Yeah. So if you have a timeline. At your particular project, you would always set some milestones or those goal points to be able to track your not your the success of the project, if everything goes on the plan, a goal to achieve. Yep, a goal to achieve. Yeah, also you can actually not only compare it to related to your work, but every person has some milestones in life. They, for them, for all of us, they are different. For somebody that would be college, and then first job, and then I don't know, getting married, moving to a new country. So those milestones, some important moments in our life or in the timeline of the project, it helps to track the success of it. So the next one, I see a question here. Scope. Scope is something different. Scope is, like a range of something, like a scope of, tasks for the day, for example. Let's say so. How about settle on here? Settle on. What do you guys think of this one? Anybody knows the meaning of it? We'll go on in a little bit so that we cover everything here. Mm-hmm. Settle on. Okay, I'll just give you the description here. So settle on is basically the best. This one I love. Yeah. So it's basically the synonym to agree on something and go on with some decision, some solution. Yes, choose some option, settle on something. Yeah, well, imagine you're discussing different options, different solutions on your project, and you decide to settle on the best one, to go forward with the best one. So settle on to choose probably the best from a scope of other um, solutions. Yeah. Okay. So let's go on to our next slide right here. And, why sometimes we can experience some challenges here with speaking fluently in meetings. Please share your thoughts. What do you think? Why can it be not comfortable? Why you feel not really confident? Is that a language issue? Is that a confidence thing? Please share your opinion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, waiting for your thoughts here. So for some, for all people, those things can be different, as I already mentioned. Something that sort of bothers us, and something that hinders to speak fluently. Okay, Oksana says it's difficult to express my thoughts quickly and properly. Yes, I do think that sometimes when we want to say something quickly and we want to be right about it, there can be some sort of struggle to make it fast, and you don't have to rush through it. I do think that the best advice here would be not mm, rush yourself through the meeting and saying, you don't have to be too fast. Okay, well, the lack of vocabulary, that's a good one here too. Lack of vocabulary, also when we are speaking about IT field, we actually have a really good course, and that includes probably the best vocabulary list that that can help IT professionals to really thrive in their field. Mm-hmm. Lack of English practice and being shy. Yeah, I know that being shy sometimes it's a bummer here, because sometimes you don't really mm, you want to say something, you want to participate, you want to get involved and be so switched on and energetic at the meeting, but for whatever reason you don't feel too confident. I really think that some speaking clubs are helpful, because you sort of meet new people, and you have to share opinion with them. So okay, let's go on. Mm-hmm. Don't hear clearly in other people. Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean the accents are very different. So the more you listen to different accents, the clearer you understand them. So here, if you don't really get what that particular person is saying, I guess the best practice is to listen to other people with the same accent. Maybe go on YouTube and listen, try to get that English practice with that particular accent. hmm So let's go on to our next thing here. Yeah, as we already mentioned, let's as we already talked through some blockers. Please go ahead and scan the QR code here on the screen and answer your, choose your option here. What is the greatest blocker here for you personally? Mm-hmm. Okay, that will help us, to see the statistics and see what can the best, the worst bomber be here. All right, so the first issue can be, as you already guys mentioned in comments, can be overthinking and somehow struggling with answering fast. It can be the reason just because you're overthinking every word. You can lose track of the discussion, or it can take too long to formulate your ideas, or you cannot communicate your thoughts clearly and concisely. So, again, I would say that, if you do lose track of the discussion and you can't follow what the other person is saying for whatever reason, maybe you don't understand the accent, maybe it's hard to keep focus for a long time, then probably again, the practice is the best here. Try to really dive into the conversation and listen to this particular speaker, and like train your attention spans, right? Okay. So when you're overthinking every word, I guess the good advice, a good tip here would be to use simple words and a shorter sentence. I know that sometimes, we want to use advanced lexic, we want to use advanced vocabulary, but uh, not always it is necessary. From my personal practice, I see that sometimes, when we work with cross-cultural teams, not everybody is a native speaker. There can be one, two, three native speakers in a team, and the other ones can be, of other cultures, and their native language is not English. So that is one of the reasons why we don't really need that, advanced, not the advanced but complex English to use in our daily conversations. Sometimes the more simple and shorter, concise the sentence is, the better it is for you, and for the other team members to understand you clearly. Yeah. Okay, another bummer here is when we keep silent. We don't really talk to anybody at the meeting, don't share our opinions, don't ask questions. Anybody is guilty of that. Please share in comments if you feel that sometimes you would like to say something, You would like to share your opinion on a particular point, but for some reason you don't do it. Either you feel shy, either you think that, it doesn't really matter, or for, and again, lack of vocabulary. Anybody felt it? So I guess this one is one of the most, significant things here, because when we're keeping silent at a team meeting, it can lead to some not really good impression of ourselves, because it's a team meeting and everybody is expected to sort of share their opinion and be open. And whilst you can feel not confident and remain silent, then it can create the impression that you're either not involved into the meeting, or you are busy with whatever else you are doing. So I guess, that is a big one here. Uh-huh. I love that you're the most talkative person in the team. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's always good. It doesn't depend on, how good your English is. From my practice, I see it does depend on how good you can formulate this sentence. So why keeping silent can be, not very beneficial for us, because you don't really improve your speaking skills. Yeah. Every team call is a big opportunity to improve every day, to improve your speaking skills and, practice. Another point is that you seem uninterested and you seem not involved into the call, into the project, and other team members can feel that they should, always um, like back you up. So that is probably not the best practice to do. Try to get involved a little bit more. We'll share some tips on how to do that too. Yeah, and also this one is a big one, I guess, that you can think that your expertise or your knowledge is underestimated. Yep, because when we don't share our opinion, nobody really knows what we can do and what we think about that particular, issue or project or idea. So, like, what is the reason to create this impression of ourselves? Let's be smart, let's be talkative, let's be energetic, and, talk more, practice more. And the tip here is to start by smaller contributions. So try to give positive feedback. If you don't want, to start with long speeches, express agreement or ask a clarifying question. It doesn't take a lot of effort yet to formulate it. It doesn't take too much time, but it keeps, it shows that you're involved. It shows that you're interested, and it also it is a good practice for your skills, because our brain, you train it to think in English. Yeah, whatever you say, you switch it on, and then with practice you will get better and better and better in it with each that step. So you start small and you will notice how, with practice that will grow. Okay, well, let's see what we can answer here. Let's practice just a little bit. What can we say when somebody, when in this particular situation? Imagine a team member finishes explaining something. You've understood everything and have no questions to ask. What can you say? What feedback can you give here? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. What feedback we can give when we have no questions and we understood everything. So, what should we say here? What would be a good expression? Crystal clear. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, that's a good one. Everything is clear for me. Thank you. I love that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can say no questions. Thank you. Everything is clear. Thank you for the information, contribution. Thank you for your time. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Let's go to the next situation. Oh yeah, we actually have the right answer, not the right answers, but some of the options. So when you understand what the team member just shared about, you can always say that makes sense, or that makes sense to me. I see what you mean. Yeah, and then you can thank them. You can say thanks for explaining that. So again, um, as we uh-huh as we want to support our team member and give them feedback, it's always nice to say something, not just say yes or no, not just nod with your head and say, I understand, but you would support them and probably make them feel better too if you share this feedback. Another situation here, let's take a look at this one. Imagine a teammate asks for some feedback on your task. You really like the work they did. What can you say? What feedback can you give when you really liked the work somebody did? Mm-hmm. Okay, please share your opinion. Please share what you would say. Imagine yourself in this particular situation when you're giving feedback to one of your team members. What can you say here? It's awesome. Uh huh. I appreciate your work. Okay, that's good. Mm hmm. Again, yeah, we're giving positive feedback here. So, what can be other options to say? You can say, looks good to me. I think you are on the right track. No questions from my side. So, all of those are, good examples of respectful and good feedback. Great job. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. Good job. Okay. Yeah, I agree. So, and you can try to remember these ones and use those in your daily meetings too. Okay, so that is about the first reason. Let's go to the next point here. Is that sometimes we don't learn new vocabulary. I remember someone mentioned lack of vocabulary here, yeah, as a blocker when it sort of bothers you to be more present, more involved into the presentation, into the work meeting. So, okay, what can be bad about, not learning new vocabulary when we already know everything? And, if we don't expand it, what can happen? Then the first thing that can happen here that you overuse basic and repetitive language. So again, yeah, when we are talking about some particular field and we have advanced lexic to use there, to sound more professional and to sound again more that you have more expertise in the field, to show the whole um, expertise that you have there, it's better to use more advanced vocabulary that is related to that particular field. You can also limit your professional development by not learning vocabulary. Why? Just, it starts from not learning the vocabulary, and then you sort of feel shy and you don't really participate in the meeting. And that limits the professional development because, again, the more involved you are, the more appreciated probably you are at that particular professional field. And your English skills can stagnate when we don't learn vocabulary, and they stop development. They get sort of rusty. Yeah. Again, it's about practice here. When we learn English constantly and regularly, we always try to implement new vocabulary, maybe explore some field that is not really related to what we do, because we find a lot of new vocabulary there. Maybe vice versa, we feel that, in our work we don't really use the right words. We cannot find the appropriate vocabulary to express our opinion. So, definitely, that is a key point to remember. Yep. And the tip here would be, you notice some specific words or phrases that other people are using during the calls, and you practice using them as well. How you can do it? Whenever you are at the meeting, and imagine you like some other people are speaking, and you want to, keep to that level too. You can remember and note those specific words and phrases they use, learn them, and try to intentionally implement them into your speech. I personally love, having a list of words that I want to use in my speech. And you sort of think of those words that I need to use them into my in my today's in my today's speech work or whatever. So yeah, that is important here. We'll share some top phrases for the meetings, so that you can know them and actually start using them in your meetings already tomorrow, I hope. Yep, so get your notebooks ready, get your laptops ready, and let's see what we have here. Mm-hmm. So the first phrase is let me start by, and I want you to pay attention that let me start by always is followed by a verb with the ing ending. Yep. So, for example, let me start by recapping where we left off in the last meeting. So we're all on the same page. Yeah, so we see that we have the ing ending just because it follows the preposition by. Let me start by recapping. Um, so this phrase is really good to start your call, to start your speech, yet to introduce your topic, not dive right into it, but sort of get your team members ready to listen to you, get them familiar with the topic. So this one is good to introduce it. Let me start by something. Okay. Mhm. Another one, jump right into. Uh, you can also share, in the comments if you use any of those, if you are familiar with those. Are you guys familiar with this one? Jump right into. Do you use it in your daily calls? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's my favorite. Yeah, I love this one too, honestly. When you're saying that, let me jump right into something, so you want to start with something faster and sort of dive right into the topic. Yeah, let's look at the example here. I believe we can jump right into it and start with the status update on deliverables. So we can jump right into it. What does it mean? What does it mean? Mm-hmm. Please share in the comments what synonyms, what phrases, how we can paraphrase it. Mm-hmm. Well, we can say that, I believe we can jump right into, so to start straight on with something. Yep, jump right into it, dive right into it, start discussing particular topic and skip something to start with. Yep, exactly. Really great. Okay, another one is hold on a second. Sometimes it's really important to use this one. It can be simple, but when you are at a meeting and let's imagine, I don't know, something happened and you need to adjust your audio, or you need to adjust your sound or your camera, not to keep your team members waiting, or letting them be confused what's going on there with you. You can always say, oh, hold on a second, and continue just doing what you're doing, adjusting and getting yourself ready for the call. So what can it mean here? What's hold on? What's that phrasal verb stand for? What does it stand for? Hold on a second. Hold on is wait. Yep, I agree. Wait a second. Hold on a second. That is good. So it's just a phrasal verb which is very common. Yeah, and it's great to use it instead of wait. So maybe if you want to adjust something, you would just say hold on a second and go on. Then the next one. Could you elaborate on that? Is this one familiar to you guys? Let's see it. Let's look at the example. That's an interesting point. Could you elaborate on how this would align with our current priorities? Could you elaborate on what do you think of this one? What can it mean? So elaborate on something, meaning explain something, maybe dive deeper into the point. Yeah, can you give me some explanation here? Can you elaborate? Can you describe explain why you think so? Imagine you have something to share. Yeah, you're sharing your opinion, your point of view, and when somebody asks you to elaborate on your opinion, you would how you would have to support it with some additional information by elaborating on it. Mm-hmm. Another one is, could you clarify? Could you clarify how this approach differs from what we've done in the past? Clarify. A good word to express, to say, could you make it clear? Could you please explain? Could you give some more information on how this approach differs? Yeah. So, could you clarify this particular point? Give more information. Okay, explain deeply. Yes, this is a good one. And another one is, why do you think? So sometimes we really need to ask questions. Yeah, if we are wondering if something is confusing for us, it's really important not to be shy, not to, keep to ourselves, but, throw questions confidently. Say, why do you think the customer engagement dropped last quarter? So sometimes, yeah, it's not like we have to throw facts into the person, but we can just ask a question and make it more polite, if we can say so. Another one, can I ask a question? Yeah, can I ask a quick question? That's a good one when you can actually clarify something for yourself and not letting that information, slip from you. Because as it often happens at team calls, especially big team calls, when you're listening to someone and you're starting, to lose track of it, that is a good question to sort of get yourself back on track. Can I ask a quick question? Are we factoring in the holiday season for this campaign timeline, for example? And another one, let me just recap our next steps. I personally love this one because I feel like this is very important in the end of every meeting to have a little bit of recap. It helps you to finalize, to summarize what's been said, and sort of even avoid mistakes that could have been done if hadn't do it. So, what's recap? Is that a new word or is that a familiar one? Please share your comments here. So, recap is sort of summarize and finalize what's being explained or talked through, at the meeting. For example, let me just recap our next steps. Anna will finalize the report and we'll review it together on Wednesday. So, again, as we said, to recap, sort of summarize, and say it again. Yeah, usually good in the end of the meeting. So, let's practice with all of those. Let's see how you remember all of those phrases. Mhm. Let's start with this exercise here. So the first sentence is, let's start. Preposition skipped, something is missing. Going over today's agenda. So what's missing here? Let's fill in this gap. Let's start. What? Who knows? Please share your opinion below in the comments. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes. Let's start by going over today's agenda. Good. Let's go on to the next one. I believe we can write into with updates on project milestones. I believe we can what? Write into. We can do what? Exactly. We can jump right into it with the updates. Jump right into it. Perfect. The next one, could you clarify how the recent changes affect our deadlines? I will what? Our next steps at the end to keep everyone aligned. So, to keep everyone aligned, what should we do in the end of the meeting? What is best to do to sort of summarize everything said? Recap. Yes. So, you say, I'll recap our next steps at the end. To keep everyone aligned. Really great. Okay, I'm really glad that we are on the same page here, and I hope you guys are learning something new. Yeah, no, as you see, nothing is missing here. We covered it all. So the next thing here, very important too, how to speak better with minimal practice, yeah, I know that sometimes, we struggle with probably free time, or we don't really have somebody to speak in English, how to do it without having those particular opportunities. So as we can use traditional practice, speaking clubs, lessons, real life communication. But what if we don't really have, again, time and real life communication opportunities? What we can do? We can start shadowing recordings. How we do it? Imagine, again, as we mentioned, you love somebody's how somebody's speaking. You really want to keep to that level. So what you can do is shadow their speech in the recording, right? You can choose those particular words, phrases, and repeat them after those phrases being said. I personally love this practice. I use it with movies and those videos related to work. Just repeat after that person that you love. You really want to keep that exact level as they have. Mm. Also, micro practice, 5-minute drills here. That is great too. So if you don't really have, a lot of time, what you can do, you can, as we have this practice in our course, whenever you have those 5 minutes, you can actually do and you record your speech, for example. So that gives you this 5-minute opportunity to switch your brain to English, to speak English, and to think in English. That seems like a little effort and a little bit of time, but it works wonders. And it worked, on many our students. Recording and replaying your voice is very helpful because you can actually listen to yourself. I see somebody is saying recording is huge stress. It is in the beginning. Yeah, sometimes you listen to yourself and you say, okay, I will never speak English again. But it's only in the beginning. Um, it's not like we have to listen to our voice and be the strictest, assessors who. Um, give grades. No, you are doing it for yourself to improve. So you're noticing, here probably my speech wasn't too clear. I should speak clearer, maybe not that fast, or maybe a little bit faster, or maybe should use some more advanced vocabulary. And if you have time, give some feedback. You can even write it down that you said this, and that, but you would love to make your speech clearer, use more advanced vocabulary, and try to do it again in a week and see what your progress is. We do have this option in our course, and I personally love it because what you can do here is you can mimic pronunciation of the speaker. You can mimic the intonation, the rhythm. That actually enhances your all skills in English. And then you can get feedback from one of our teachers, from one of the experts. And that is a good example, again, of little practice that doesn't really require too much time or too much effort. A good advice here would be to use GPT chat for that too, or any other AI tool that you are using. What is great about it, you can ask it to be your teacher, saying, pretend to be a client asking about a project timeline. I'll practice responding politely and professionally. Your job is to give feedback on my mistakes. So, for example, you're giving that particular situation and then you record what you would answer, and you have the best feedback here. You will be corrected and given advice how you can improve your speech. And then you can record yourself, do it again with those little corrections. So don't skip this one. It works wonders. It is really, really great. Yeah, again, as I mentioned, we do have a recording option, recording exercise in our course, and that is actually reviewed by our expert, our teachers. And you can practice that with the teachers in live classes too, and keep track of your progress. Okay, let's dive into this one, how to improve confidence in your meetings. So, a good one here, I actually discussed it with my students today, is to prepare beforehand. When you know about the topic that you know that this and this will be discussed today, good thing to do. Go through vocabulary that is going to be used. Probably, think of some sentences. Get ready for with some phrases that you're going to use. Even speak to yourself for a little bit. Get yourself ready to, give the information that you will be asked. Probably give an update on the project, or so on and so on. You can write down main points and go through them while you are at the meeting. Very helpful. Another one is actually slowing down. We mentioned it here. Yes, somebody said that sometimes it's mm, not too easy to speak fast when you have so many thoughts. You want to express them all, and it's hard to formulate them in English. Yeah, like in your native language, it's sometimes easier to do. But again, you don't need to be fast. Faster doesn't mean better. Sometimes it's better to give a clear idea without, rushing into it. Yeah. Um, that helps you to avoid mistakes. That helps you to sound more clear. That helps you to be understood. So don't really rush yourself through those, through the information that you want to share. Yep, check your understanding. This one is really good here. You can use phrases like, just to make sure I understand, you're saying that. Or, could you clarify what you mean by? Don't be shy, to ask those questions. Those are really helpful and important to not lose track of the conversation. Yeah. Sometimes we think, oh, I will just not ask any questions. I'll figure it out like after the call or something like that. No, what is better to do is, ask a little question. Yep, you can say, can I ask a quick question? Can you just clarify what you mean by this? And then the person that you're speaking to will also understand that you are involved, and you will be on the same page. You will be more like you get the common ground there. Okay, and a good advice here is to paraphrase too. So, for example, you can use phrases like, so if I understand you correctly, you are saying that. Again, this is a very great tool to recap something that somebody just said, and sort of double check if you are getting them right. Yeah, if something that you are about to do, maybe some work you are diving into, you will be doing the right thing. So it avoids again making mistakes and spending time on something that you shouldn't really have done. Yeah, so you can say, let me put it another way to make sure I got it right. And the another one here, using a positive Tone. That's a good one and a big one. I hear it a lot from my students too. That sometimes when they are confused on or they don't know what to say, they can sound a little negative. It's always good to have those phrases ready when that happens. For example, you want to say, I don't know, and instead of saying that, you can actually say, I don't think I have the answer off the top of my head, meaning I cannot answer it right now. Let me find out and get back to you. Yeah, so that you don't really leave the person thinking what's going on. You're saying that, you don't have the answer right now off the top of your head, but you'll get back to them. And instead of saying that's not my responsibility, you can say, I think it would be best for Kate or somebody to tackle that task or initiative. So you're not saying it's not my job, it's not my responsibility. You're saying that it would be best for that particular person to tackle, to manage, to complete that task. And instead of saying that won't work, you can say, I think we might approach this thing differently. We can adjust the approach a little. So you don't say that, you're wrong. You don't really know how to do it. That won't work. A polite way to say is, to sort of give a suggestion. Say, I think we might adjust the approach a little. So, yeah, if you want to practice all those things and feel confident in English, I know that, that's a lot of information and something to digest here. So, what helps is, when you are doing it with someone, with support that we provide in English for IT, you can actually get our most popular course, most famous course that is called English for Tech. I believe 3,000 people already did it, and it's probably a unique product on the market that helps people to not only evolve their professional skills but also their soft skills. That is an online course, so everything you do is on the same platform. It's I guess it's 7 weeks, and you can start it today. It contains 7 modules: vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation, and soft skills and speaking. So when you go through it, you will not only train, your vocabulary related to IT. You will also train your soft skills, your confidence, pronunciation. How connected you are to people in your team. So that is really, really helpful here. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really take, much time a day. As I hear from my students, they would spend 20 to 30 minutes a day on the course, and you can spend 10 minutes today and an hour tomorrow. It's very, very flexible. So the value that you get is really great. And the best part of it is that, if you go through it, if you adopt all those skills, all those recommendations and vocabulary and grammar that we are giving, that leads to great results and sometimes salary increase. Our students are sharing that they are actually getting promoted after they finish the course. Because again, as we mentioned today, it's very important yet to feel confident to speak good English and to stand out, to speak for yourself, to share your opinion, to be appreciated. Actually, for 48 hours, so until the end of January, you can get 30% off the whole course program. We have different formats, and they are all great. You can look through them here in this on the screen. And please join. Let us know, if you want to become our students. I'm one of the teachers there, so you can actually become my teacher too if you loved, the presentation today. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I love to answer them. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. So yeah, we covered a lot of useful information today, right? Um, could you please recommend any websites for watching TV series with English subtitles online for free? I'm not sure there are, good resources for free. Um, I think I personally use YouTube for that, and that is the most helpful. Positive phrases were really useful. I love that. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Everything was clear. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay, so I really hope to see you again. It was great to talk to you. Thank you for joining the webinar. It was really great to communicate. Yep, I hope it was very useful, and I'll see you again at our next webinar. Thank you so much.